Okay, so part four is just a big angle puzzle, and we're just supposed to use what we know about angle relationships to figure this out. There are a few important things though. There are some notes here. One is that the angles here are not to scale. So if you were to actually measure these angles, they may, but they probably don't actually match the angles that we say they are. For instance, this is probably not really 50 degrees right here, even though it says it is. So you're supposed to draw this, or supposed to figure this out based on if this were 50 degrees, what would these other angles be? If you used a protractor, you got this wrong. You can't measure them with a protractor. This should say angle 2, but all lines are straight. That's an important little piece of information to know as well. And then finally, this will mostly help you with your highlight coefficient, but lines A, B, and C are all parallel. That's a good one to know too. And then none of the other lines are parallel. So we know that line A, B, and C, these lines are parallel. The rest of the lines are not parallel. So that means that none of these up and down lines are parallel. This one's not parallel. There just aren't any other parallel lines here. Okay, so let's get started. You could start this anywhere you wanted, but when I start this, I don't know how I would possibly figure out what these angles were based on the information that I have because I don't have anything. So I'm starting with the intersections where I have some information. So there's an intersection right here. I have some information about, and this one as well. This one and this one. And I mean, I guess I technically have information about this one too, although I don't think I have enough to totally fill that out just yet. But I'm going to start with the angles that I definitely know first, or where I definitely know something first. So I'm not going to start with A, B, and C. I'm going to start with E, F, and G. So what I do know, the fact that I do know that these are all straight angles. So this is a straight line right here, and this is a straight line right here. And because those are straight lines, that means that the angle, that means that, let's see, I guess I'm going to erase these now. The angle that goes, if this was the center point of the angles and you were to rotate, then this would be a 180 degree angle. So if these two together make a 180 degree angle, that means they are supplementary angles. And 180 minus 110 would give me the value for F. So F has to be 70, because 70 plus 110 equals 80. And then if I was to use that logic somewhere else, I also know that because this is a straight line, that this makes 180 degrees. And so what number goes with 70 to make 180? Well, I already figured out that it's 110, so E has to make 110. And so now I see that these angles are the same. E and 110 are the same. That's because they're what's called vertical angles. And then if I was to carry that over, I know that this has to be 180 degrees too, and E is at 110 has to go with whatever G is, and we know that 110 and 70 make 180, so G has to be 170. So now I see that these are the same as well, and those are called vertical angles. And I can use that information to help me solve these as well. So I know that E is 110, F is 70, G is 70, and H is 1. Oh, I don't know H yet. Sorry, let's not put H on there yet. So then H is across the way. We're going to figure out H right now. H is, I know these are vertical, so H is 50. And then I and J are whatever it takes to go from 50 to 180. So in this case, 50 plus 130 makes 180. So this becomes 180 degrees when we add those together. And then I know that J is vertical with angle I. So J also has to be 130 because vertical angles match. So H is 50. I is 130. J is 130. And then K, we don't know yet. Okay, so there's two intersections done. I'm going to use that same logic down here. Same thing. O is vertical with 50, so O has to be 50. And then P, we just did this math up there. P has to be whatever goes with 50 to make 180, so that's 130. And Q Q is vertical with 130, so Q can also be 130. So I can just write those in here. So that's O, P, and Q. So O is 50, P is 130, and Q is 130. And then finally, I can use that for this one. I know that 75 is vertical with S, so S has to also be 75. And then what goes with 75 to make 180? Well, 105, right? 75 plus 5 is 80, plus 100 more. So R has to be 105, and so does T. And that creates all of our straight angles have total 180. So now I know that 75, let's see, R, S, and T. R is 105, S is 75, and T is 105. And that's it. So those are all the ones that I can solve where I'm figuring out something with a vertical angle and a supplementary angle. So in order to figure out there are these three other intersections I still need to figure out. I still have to do A, B, C, D, J, K, L, M, N, and then U, V, W, X, Y. So in order to figure these out, I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with A. In order to figure these out, I can't use the information at the intersection because there isn't any information here. But what I can do is I can start thinking about, you know what, instead of looking at the intersection, I'm going to start looking at the shapes, because we also learned about angles and how they relate to shapes. So what I see here is a shape, and this shape is obviously a triangle. And one thing we know about triangles is that all of the angles in a triangle total 180 degrees. And so if I already have two angles here, I know that one corner is 50 degrees and one corner is 70 degrees. This one just has to be the rest. So so I would just do 180 degrees equals 70 plus 50 plus D, right? And in order to figure this out, in order to get D by itself, I basically have to take 180 and take 50 and 70 away. So I'm going to subtract 70 and subtract 50, and I get, I only have 60 left. So when I take these away, minus 70 and minus 50 from this side, I only have D left. So D has to be 60. So D is equal to 60. And if that's true, then I use my vertical knowledge, my vertical angle knowledge, to figure out that A is also 60. And then to figure out B and C, I know that I use my supplementary angle understanding. So 60 plus 120 makes 180. And so B and C have to be 120. So I can write that in here, 60 plus 60, 120, 120, and then D is 60. So there, I'm done with that one. And then this one down here is the same, right? I also see a triangle here. This is a triangle, and I have the information for angle U. So I can figure that one out. Before I even get started on that, I actually have one vertical angle here that I can do. So I know that angle 80 is vertical with Y. So we are going to call this 80 degrees as well. However, there's no way for me to really divide U and V up and figure out how these split up the remaining. Like, I know now that I know that both of those are 80, and I know that this amount here, because that's a straight line, this that should total, because this here is a straight line, this should total all 80 plus U plus V should total 180 degrees. So I know U and V have to make 100 degrees. But I can't tell how I would split that up here. So one way, but I do have this piece of information. I know this is a triangle, and so 50 plus 75 plus U is going to total 180 degrees as well. So 50 plus 75 plus U equals 180. And So if I subtract 50 and I subtract 75, I will just get u. Minus 50 minus 75, I just get u left over. So I just a minute ago I did 180 minus 50 minus 70 and I got 60. This is asking me to do subtract 5 more. So 60 minus 5 more is 55. So now I know angle u has to be 55 degrees. And then now I can recognize that these are vertical angles. And so I should be able to, so these two, x and u, should match, but 55 plus 80 plus v should also make 180. So I can sort of do that same math too. I can say, well, 180 minus 80 is 100, minus 55 is 45. This is one of those examples where the angles are definitely not to scale because u appears to be a narrower angle than v, so it should have a larger number. But we said the angles aren't to scale, so definitely this line did not actually come in at this angle. So anyways, and then I can just sort of use that same information. I know that the three numbers that are going together here, I know that 80, 55, and 45 make 180. That should match here. 55 plus 45 plus 80 should work. Let's see, I'll use green, should work for this one. And then 45 plus 80 plus 180, or plus 55 should go here. So this one has to be 55. I knew it was a vertical angle, but I'm also just using another way to prove this. And then 180 and 55, what goes with that to make 180? Well, we already figured out that math, and it is 45. So I know that these are vertical angles, but they also help make straight angles total 180 degrees. So that is how we figured out u, v, w, x, and y. So u is angle 55. V is 45 degrees. Angle W is 45 degrees. Angle X is 55 degrees. And angle Y is 80 degrees. And then the last one is JKL here. To figure out JKL, I have to notice a different shape. This shape is a quadrilateral. And to fill in my quadrilateral, I know, so while I fill in my quadrilateral, I'll talk about how I know that all angles in a quadrilateral have to be 360 degrees. Whenever you have a four-sided shape, all of the angles make 360. And so, so I know that the result here is if I know the other corners, I know that this is going to be what's ever left to make 360. So I have information on 110. I have angle J is 130, so that's 240. And angle O is 50, so that is 290. So L has to be whatever's left. So 360 minus 110 minus 130 minus 50 is 70. So angle L has to be 70, and now that I know that, I can just use the information that I've been using the whole time. Angle M also has to be 70, and then angle N has to be 110, and K has to be 110 as well because those are supplementary with 70. So K is 110, L is 70, M is 70, N is 110.